to go over a few sound bites of things I will speak of. I'm going to talk about the illusion of this world, that whole matrix, which dimension you might be living in, and you may be living in multiple dimensions at once. The also lucid dreaming, because that's really important. Like what is really the dream and what isn't. We sure have amazing super abilities when we're lucid dreaming. We can do whatever we want. We can fly. We can go anywhere in time, space. Well, there is no time and space, so we can go anywhere we want. Also, I wanted to mention using religious, because you go to church doesn't mean you're a holy person. It doesn't mean you're better than someone. It doesn't mean anything. And it's about hiding behind religion or even spirituality, which really is just another religion. We've thrown off the word religion because it was so controlled, manipulated. This is how you have to think. This is how you have to be, into a more open, expansive word called, spirit. I'm a spiritualist, or I'm spiritual. It's just kind of a more of an open door. And hopefully it means to you that you want to grow, you want to learn, you're open to all kinds of ideas and belief systems. You can examine them and not being attached to them, but literally being the observer, watching. Does this make sense for my life? Is this uplifting for humanity? Because if it isn't uplifting for humanity, then what's the point? We're not here for ourselves, whether you think you are or not. Yes, many souls have forgotten why they're here and do go to those lower dimensions within this earth plane and to heal something. Because usually when you're only out for yourself, well, always when you're only out for yourself, it's really deep-rooted fears and insecurities and not enough and less than. And that's why people are like that. So, we're here also to acknowledge that within ourselves when we do that or act out in a certain way, but also allow the other being to grow and learn. Because it's just because we're all on different levels of consciousness. And so then as we rise in consciousness and become more aware, more the observer, more understanding the oneness of everything, there's more tolerance, there's more love and caretaking and acceptance. Yes, there are still triggers, because I don't know anybody perfect on this planet. No one. There's no exception of perfection, because there can be no perfection in the way we like to look at it. Because we're always growing and expanding. That's the energy of the divine, to grow, to expand, to know itself on a zillion different levels. So basically, what I want to share with you is one of the things that came up, Romney mentioned, his church background, and so did Pelosi. And I'm sorry, but I wanted to throw up, because I was raised Catholic. And even before the first grade, when I was put in a Catholic school and went to catechism, I knew that the nuns and the priests were missing a huge portion of what really happened. I knew that as a child. There's a knowing that we come in with, and a lot of us, we really get the wool pulled over our eyes really fast and conditioned. But I knew that, and I questioned it, and that caused a lot of trouble. A little kid saying, no, God wouldn't do that. No, Mary Magdalene wasn't that. No, Jesus never said that. There was a knowing within me that they tried to beat out and condition out. Yet, what always bothered me when I looked around, as that the people that went, like my grandmother, and she's a wonderful woman, but she passed away quite some time at 90 some years old, but she would go and say the rosary every single day at her church. She would go to church every Sunday and even sometimes more. Yeah, in that era of the hippies, she had a beautiful building in Berkeley, which was a little, I guess, too close to UC Berkeley, but the beautiful old homes with the columns and all that. But she had this, stone kind of planter in front that came up, and it was really nice, and it was planted behind. But this, it was large enough to sit on, like just stop, and sit down and enjoy. Well, she'd go out and she'd see the dirty hippies out there, and she'd start sweeping like really crazy and like hitting their legs to make them move and go on their way. And I remember saying, Grandma, didn't you just go say the rosary this morning? And she just stopped and looked at me. Now, I was a kid. And I said, why would you do that? What do you pray for in your rosary? Now, it was an honest question from a child because I didn't understand it. They weren't doing anything. They weren't throwing garbage in her flowers or, they weren't doing anything. They were just sitting there. And so I started questioning at a very young age and seeing the difference of when church or church people would hide behind these masks of I'm a Christian, I'm a Catholic, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a Taoist, I'm I just blanked out every single one of them. Anyway, so, I'm following this guru, I'm following that guru. It's like, okay, that's really nice, but that tells me nothing about you. What tells me something about you is how you respond when someone's in need, how you listen to a friend or talk kindly to someone that's in pain or, whatever it is. So anyway, that's what I wanted to say. It's your behavior really shines light on who you really are. And so to use religion or spirituality when is just so downward. I mean, you just fell, maybe momentarily, but that was a crash. And that's happened to me many times. There was a builder in Washington. I was a designer up in Washington, and he screwed over so many people. And most of these were single women using all of what they had left to purchase one of their homes. And maybe he would come in and do the finishing, tile and all that. They pick their cabinets. And one of the homes I walked into, and she was in tears. She said, I just spent $500,000 plus he wants another $140,000. And this was a place where prices weren't that high. I hate the tile he put in. I don't think it's what he showed me originally, what I agreed to, and this and this and this. The colors, oh my God, look what he did to the roof. And so I came in and I just walked up and it was like, I said to myself, holy crap. He put the cheapest finishing touches he could on her property. I walked in and the tile was not even laid correctly. He got somebody that he was paying garbage to do it that didn't know what they were doing so he could cut corners. And when I challenged it, I said, take this out, get it out of here. Your contract says and shows a picture of what this house is supposed to look like, and this isn't it. And he was like really pissed at me, but I was just matter of fact. I wasn't mean. I was just firm and said, no, this will not do. And you need to replace this or this is going to be challenged. And he said, I said, we got in many discussions over a couple months. And I said, you're taking advantage. And I said, I researched you. She's not the first one you've taken advantage of. And most of these are single women. I said, what kind of person are you? And he said, I'm a good Christian. I would never do anything. And the minute he said, I'm a good Christian, I said, oh my God. I said, you have some serious karma. You're hiding behind that. You told her that in the beginning, that you're a good Christian, so you wouldn't cheat her, and yet you've cheated her and put a lesser product every step of the way. And what you did do, you did half-assed. So don't hide behind that, because you've got some karma to pay for, buddy. And I just told him that. I said, I feel bad for you because you've got some serious karma here. And sure enough, when the market crashed, his houses didn't sell. He ended up having to sell his big mansion for like almost nothing and having to live in one of his super crappy, cheap houses. I thought, oh, I like karma. Karma's good, and I can say that for myself also. It might not feel good as it's happening, but it's always an awareness that, wow, something's out of alignment, right? And so, so don't hide behind something. Yes, I've had amazing experiences spiritually, and so have you, I'm sure. I've gone into states of bliss for days where I knew there was absolutely nothing wrong in the world. I knew I had no questions, so therefore I didn't need any answers. It was such a divine place to be, and I know many of you have had that. And I've only had this a few times, and I found out one of my biggest errors is so for days on end, really, there was perfection in the world. So I knew that's what the world really was. That's what creation really was. It was utter bliss and perfection. So what happened? At some point, the mind gets in, because we still have more to learn. We have more to grow. We have more, in other words, just to stay in that state of bliss. I don't know what good I would have done for the world, walked around in Blissland, and I wouldn't even be able to explain to somebody how I got there, because truly, I do know that I was spending a lot of time in meditation. I was doing a lot of journaling work early in the morning, and I would just slip into these states. They can't be thought into. They can't be desired to go into, because then we're trying to get somewhere. It's really who we are. It's already who we are, right? So what happens is we slip into the knowing of who we are, because we've pushed all the veils away, all the illusion away. So it wasn't until the mind, I remember having the first thought each time, after they only lasted 3 days or so, of thinking, now how did I do this? That wasn't the soul. That the mind slipped in. It had been trying to get my attention for all those days, but I was in a state of knowing that I didn't waver from that, right? And I know you know what this is, because so many of us have had these experiences. But once the mind got in, now if I had turned my focus to just being the observer of that thought, instead of the one that went, yeah, how did I do this? Because I don't ever want to leave this state of bliss. That was the moment I started coming out every single time. So a few things. At first, I kind of beat myself up. I tried to get back into those states. He tried to get back in. You can't get back into what you are, because you're already it. It's grace. There's nothing, no other word I can say. The portal is grace. So what I felt, though, for a long time is I had failed spiritually. Like I had gained access to my true self, and I allowed the egoic mind to hijack it. So I kind of beat myself up for a while. And then I realized I have more on this planet to do. All of us have more on this planet to do, or we would have left. And it doesn't matter what state you're at. You are not only learning, but you're teaching others. They're observing you. I don't care if you're bum on the street, drugged up, alcoholed up, laying in vomit, you are teaching a lesson. You are a teacher. So maybe that was your role, as harsh as it seems. Maybe that's what you agreed to. Because there's going to be the person that steps over you or kicks you or thinks, and then there's going to be the some person that has compassion and they feel their heart open and they reach out to help, even if it's just leaving some money or maybe going to get a sandwich and bringing it back or something. But those other people are having an opportunity to learn compassion. Maybe the one that kicked them and kept walking or spit on them or just ignored them, it sits with them. They saw it. It's still there. It changes something. So it doesn't matter what we're doing in life. But let's get to the 3 planes that I said 3. It's because what I see in dreams. There's the part of me that doesn't want to watch the news, YouTube, look on social media, hear any kind of outer world stuff, because I know it's not real. And yet, in one dimension, it is. It's very real. So there's 3 realities playing out in my world on this planet. One, that I get to really walk a spiritual path. The other one is I'm watching what's happening in the world as the observer, but it's not affecting me. And then there's another one that dives into the trauma and the craziness and the vaccines and the political craziness and, the negative aliens and the positive aliens and all of it, disclosure, lies, whatever it is, I go into there. And what I realized is, now, why did I allow myself to play in that dimension? Because then you're actually tapping into that energy field. And what we think is, what creates an energy within us. If we're thinking, we're also feeling it within our body. Now, if we're observing, it's a different thing. We're really removed from what's happening. So when we get into the drama, we get into the, oh my God, or the fear, or the stress, or do I need to do this or that? We're actually placing ourselves in that dimension within this planet. Now, I'm just throwing things out. This is just stuff that comes to me in the night. It's like really understanding it. So not questioning, like, why did I go there? I was in such a great place. Why did I watch that 2-hour news special on the virus and, the Cascadia fault and all of this incoming where the elites are, in countries are putting DNA in like Noah's Ark, but now it's, like every country in the world, they're getting ready for some kind of being hit by something from outer space. It's like, oh, well, this is only one reality, right? I mean, if we believe, if we're truly spiritual or even claiming to be religious, what happened to our faith in our Creator, the one they call God that they believe in? I mean, the soul is, eternal. The teachings, even within what I feel is a very, very, very altered Bible. And that's why I wrote my book, The Awakening Ones, because it was dreams that came through for years about the life of Yeshua or Jesus and his companion and beloved, Mary Magdalene. So I wrote that because ever since I was a child, and that's why I was in the Catholic school, Catholic church, Catholic upbringing, because I was there to contest, to be the heretic, to say, you've got to be kidding. This was not the message at all that this amazing divine being came to share with humanity, to share its potential, its divinity. So it's magnificent. It was so twisted and distorted because people want to control. And these people are the fear mongers. These people are the ones that are the children, complete children that have been so misled. And there's so much pain within them that the only thing I can do is send them love, because they believe in this horrendous world of not enough. And it's really sad. So I went on longer than I was going to. I didn't touch on everything I was, but let me tell you, young people, you do amazing things, amazing job. And, being the old sage, I don't know how to do your technology. I don't know how to make your magnificent videos. I mean, I just did 2 really quickies that were only less than 2 minutes a piece, and I just totally messed them up. But guess what? I'm willing to get out there. I'm willing to jump in the saddle all the time and try. When you're over 50 or 60 like I am, you're not hardwired for this. You guys came in with this stuff. It's a piece of cake. So my hat's off to you. But don't forget some of the old traditions. The being in silence, to be able to sit with something for more than 3 minutes or 2 minutes or 30 seconds. Because that's the only way. If you're jumping from thing to thing to thing, you're going to have a very hard time finding who you were and are. And for those of you that have written to me and said, this path is hard, I want to share a quick dream that I had one time. And I was truly living in states of bliss. I was meditating 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night, journaling. I was like floating. And I had a dream that I was going up a ladder, an etheric ladder. And it was really high up. And these divine hands, several divine sets of hands, reached over. And I reached my hands up to grab their hand. And what it represented to me is I didn't need to be on the earth plane anymore. And I was in bliss. I mean, it was like I was returning home. And just at that last second before I grabbed the hand, I heard something far below me. And I looked down, and there was all these other beings on the ladder reaching up for me. And it was like, oh my God, no, please, why did I even see that? Just go over the other side. And I didn't. I went back down, because each one of us came with a mission. And there's something the soul wants more than to leave this reality or this dimension of lots of shadow, lots of destruction, heavy, dense energy. And that is an agreement to assist all of humanity, which includes ourselves. Because I could be on a higher dimension, so to speak, but it's endless. So there are those above me. I'm glad that didn't leave me when they'd rather be in the incredible place they could be. So carry on, you beautiful souls. All right, that's it.